Tyrone Bowman Live. Welcome to the program, everybody. Let's get right down to it. Let's talk about the Israel Gaza ceasefire, the Hamas to delay release of more hostages. The ceasefire agreement, which was struck in January, has been thrown into doubt after the group's armed wing accused Israel of violating the terms. So, what's really going on here over in the Middle East? Is there something more sinister behind the scenes? Have private deals been struck? According to the Times, the Sunday Times, let's get right down to it, in an article written by George Gillis from the defense, and he's the defense and political correspondent. Hamas has said that it will delay the release of more hostages held in the Gaza Strip, throwing the ceasefire agreement with Israel into doubt. A statement by Al-Qassam Brigades, the group's armed wing, suggested it would cancel until further notice a release that had been planned for Saturday. It accused Israel of violating the terms of the agreement struck in January, under which hostages abducted during the October 7 attacks on Israel in 2023 were to be exchanged with Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. Hamas' statement said, quote, over the past 3 weeks, the leadership of the resistance has monitored the enemy's violations and its failure to comply with the terms of the agreement. These violations include delaying the return of displaced persons to northern Gaza, targeting them with shelling and gunfire in various areas of the Strip, and failing to allow the entry of humanitarian aid in all its agreed upon forms. Accordingly, the release of the Zionist prisoners, which was scheduled for Saturday, February 15, 2025, will be postponed until further notice, pending the enemy's compliance and the retroactive fulfillment of the past week's obligations, close quote. Quote, we affirm our commitment to the terms of the agreement as long as the occupation adheres to them, close quote. So now Israel has denounced Hamas for crimes against humanity. Israel responded by accusing Hamas of violating the ceasefire deal. Israel, Katz, the defense minister, said, quote, Hamas's announcement to stop releasing Israeli hostages is a complete violation of the ceasefire agreement and the deal to release the hostages. I have been instructed with the Israeli Defense Forces to prepare at the highest level of alert for any possible scenario in Gaza and to protect the communities. We will not allow a return to the reality of October 7, close quote. The Israeli army later announced it would reinforce forces and postpone leave for combat soldiers and operational units within its southern command. Hamas made the announcement after another disorderly exchange of hostages on Saturday. The halfway point in the initial 6 weeks ceasefire deal talks about the second stage of the ceasefire deal, which concerns the release of the remaining hostages and a full withdrawal of all Israeli forces, began last week, but have shown little sign of several progress. Could it be with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu coming over to meet with President Trump and talking about taking over Gaza and turning it into a Middle East resort and building hotels? Could this be the reason why there is some apprehension and doubt on the side of Hamas? So, President Trump said that 3 Israeli hostages who were released this week, El Sharabi, or Levi, and Ohad Ben Ami, look like Holocaust survivors, warning Hamas, I don't know how long we can take it. He said they were in horrible condition, they were emaciated. You know, at some point we're going to lose our patience. Israelis have become interestingly distressed by the handover ceremony staged by Hamas, in which bewildered hostages are expected to praise their captors. Israel has accused Hamas of using hostages for propaganda purposes during the swaps. Last month, Israel delayed the release of 110 Palestinian prisoners in retaliation for chaos during a release at Khan Younis. Since January 1916, Israeli hostages and 599 Palestinian prisoners have been freed. 33 Israelis and 1,900 Palestinians are slated for release by the end of the first phase of the deal. 8 of those Israeli captives are believed to be dead. So as we go further into the story, you're watching Tyrone Bowman Live. Thank you for tuning into the program. And would you kindly subscribe to the channel? I would appreciate it. Trump has said in an interview that Palestinians will not have the right to return to Gaza Strip if it is taken over and developed by the United States as, quote, the Riviera of the Middle East, close quote. Quote, no, they wouldn't because they're going to have much better housing, much better. Trump told Fox News in the interview broadcast on Monday, in other words, I'm talking about building a permanent place for them because if they have to return now, it'll be years before you could ever, it's not habitable. It would be years before it could happen. About 2 million Palestinians live in the Gaza Strip. Trump has said that he may make a deal with Jordan and Egypt to take in Palestinians displaced from Gaza, despite those countries and other Arab nations rejecting the idea. That view is emphasized by Egypt's foreign minister, Badr Abdelati, when he met with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, whatever, in Washington on Monday. Abdelati stressed the importance of expecting Gaza's reconstruction while Palestinians remain there. On Tuesday, Trump will meet with King Abdullah II of Jordan at the White House. Following the announcement by Hamas to suspend the release of hostages, Ithamar Ben-Javar, Netanyahu's former coalition partner, urged the Israeli Prime Minister to renew the assault on Gaza, which has left over 48,000 people dead, according to the health ministry. We must return and destroy them, he wrote on X. Tyrone Bowman, never surrender, never quit.